At this time, I would like to introduce our student speakers. Our theme for tonight's student speakers is a quote by Michael Josephson. Take pride in how far you've come, have faith in how far you can go, but don't forget to enjoy the journey. Our first student speaker is from the top 5%. One student has been chosen by the senior student body to speak at this year's graduation. Our student-selected speaker is Elianne Meyer. Her speech is titled, Where Our Moments Meet.
Good evening, faculty, family, friends, and class of 2026. Sitting here tonight, it feels like we have finally crossed the finish line. We often treat milestones like today as a final destination, as if everything before this moment was just background noise, and today is where life finally begins. But if these years at Skyview have taught me anything, it's that life doesn't wait for a stage and a diploma. It has been happening all along. Through most of my time at Skyview, I had an unrealistic fixation on perfection. I focused entirely on getting from point A to point B. By obsessing over simply completing each task, I almost missed the actual world happening around me. It's incredibly easy to go through life treating existence like a to-do list. But we are only given one life, and living it solely for completion is an unfulfilling cycle. The moments that hold the most value are the ones that disrupt our plans, the messy struggles, and the mistakes that force us to look in the mirror and figure out who we actually are. We misunderstand perfectionism. It isn't about being meticulous or driven. It's a deep-rooted fear of failure. It's a terrifying anxiety of making a mistake, disappointing others, or losing control. But growth doesn't happen when everything goes perfectly. While I am far from having this completely figured out, I now realize that when we focus so heavily on the end result, we miss the moments that make the destination worth the investment. How we experience our lives depends entirely on what we choose to focus on. It reminds me of a story my dad has told me my entire life whenever I get too worked up over things. He told me about two travelers on a night train. Neither of them could sleep because the moon was shining incredibly bright through their window. The first traveler was completely miserable. He tossed and turned, complaining the whole night about how the glare of the moon was ruining his sleep. But the second traveler looked out the exact same window. He watched the moonlight wash over passing landscapes and thought about how lucky he was to have witnessed something so beautiful. Both men were on the exact same train, moving at the exact same speed and heading to the exact same destination. The difference was that one was so fixated on a perfect outcome that he let the moment ruin him, while the other chose to be present, looked out the window, and was grateful for the view. Life is a series of random events, but how we respond to those moments is what shapes our future. Every time I hear my dad tell that story, I have to reflect on my own life. I have to ask myself, am I fighting for the light, or am I appreciating the view? As Michael Josephson famously wrote, take pride in how far you've come, have faith in how far you can go, but don't forget to enjoy the journey. Today, let us be deeply grateful that we can gather here to celebrate this massive accomplishment. But let us also recognize that our lives are not defined by the diplomas we are about to hold. They are shaped by the steps we took to get here. Class of 2026, and to everyone watching today, in the next chapters of our lives, the scripts will change. We will be challenged, we will fail, and we will have moments of immense success. But let us move forward and live with an intent to learn from our failures and accept the beautifully imperfect reality of life, and stay present exactly where our feet are. We hold the power to find happiness, not at the next destination, right here on the train. Let us be grateful for each moment we are given, and remember to enjoy the journey. Thank you, and congratulations.
Thank you, Ellie. The Skyview faculty selected speaker is Aliza Chaudhry. Her speech is titled Chasing Tomorrow.
Good evening, faculty, friends and family, and most importantly, the graduating class of 2026. If you're a senior, there's probably one question you've heard and dreaded more than any other this year. And it goes something like, so, what are your plans after graduation? And usually, they mean well. But suddenly, it feels like you're expected to summarize the last 4 years of your life in one answer. So, you say the college you're planning on attending, or the major you intend on pursuing. And if you're anything like me, you say road running and risk taking. I usually hope there's no follow-up. That happens a lot when you're our age. Everyone is focused on what comes next, where we're going, who we're becoming, and what our future holds. And after a while, you start to feel like life is always somewhere ahead of you, like the present moment only really matters because of where it eventually leads. And high school can feel like that too. Each year was about preparing for the next. Freshman year prepared us for sophomore year, sophomore for junior year, then junior year prepared us for applications and deadlines, then senior year for preparing to step out into the real world. And somewhere along the way, I think a lot of us started to see the present moment as a stepping stone to the next big thing. But the truth is, the parts of high school that mattered the most weren't always the big milestones. It was the lessons we learned along the way. We learned how to write an entire paper in one night and still show up to school the next morning. How to pretend we understood what was happening in class until someone finally asked the question everyone was thinking. And somehow, we learned to do grade calculations even faster than actual math problems. Sorry, Mr. Short. The parts that mattered were also the little things all of us experienced without thinking about them twice at the time. Sitting at the same lunch table with your friends every day, asking friends who had the class before us what was on the test, only to realize there were two different versions of said test. Cheering on our football team in the freezing rain in true Washingtonian fashion, or racing to submit assignments 1 minute before the deadline. That one might hit a little too close to home. For years, we spent so much time focusing on what came next that we didn't fully appreciate those simple moments as we lived them. But there will always be a next, regardless of where you're headed, whether you're going to a four-year university, trade school, the military, or entering the workforce. Another goal to chase, and another accomplishment to earn, and finally, another future we're told to prepare for. And we should prepare for it. We should be ambitious, and we should care about where we're headed. But ambition doesn't mean you have to sacrifice the present moment to get there. You can have goals, you can have plans, and you can still show up fully for the present moment. So as we walk the stage tonight, keep being ambitious, keep working towards your dreams, trust how far you can go. But don't forget to enjoy the journey. And I mean that, not just tonight, but every ordinary Monday that follows. Because eventually, the moments that felt the most ordinary, the ones that you couldn't wait to pass on the way to your future, become the memories you wish you could go back to one more time. So I'll end with the words of Robert Brault. Enjoy the little things, for one day you may look back and realize those were the big things. Congratulations, Skyview High School, class of 2026. We did it!